Ken Malone, founder of Early Charm Ventures. Early career, worked for large chemical companies. It's now Total, the big French oil giant, and did a lot of things for them, mostly around new product development and running business units, did some mergers and acquisitions, quite a bit of things. Was there for, I guess, about 12 years. And one day I'm sitting in Philadelphia at a nice office overlooking the city, and things are great. And my phone rings, and it was my dissertation advisor who informed me that he was now president of the University of Southern Mississippi and that I was coming to work for him. And I told him no, and as dissertation advisors do, he told me I wasn't listening to him. And convinced me to come down, and after some discussion, I decided to do a little career change. And so I went to Southern Miss to help him run the university. And do some things that I'd always thought would be really exciting, which was really kind of addressing that gap in early stage technology transfer, moving things out of the university and into commercial value. And so that's what I did. And so I went to the university and helped found a research park there, created a tech transfer office that didn't exist, started some education programs on how to commercialize new technologies, started several programs in that, ended up being the academic chair of the Economic and Workforce Development Department down there, and managed PhD programs and did research and all these things. But the bottom line to all of that was I got really engaged in early stage technology spinouts of universities. And after, I don't know, maybe a half dozen years of being at the university, we had a portfolio of companies that we had started. They were doing well. And they decided at the university system for Mississippi that maybe the president shouldn't be president anymore. And so they got rid of him. And my wife and I looked at ourselves and said, why are we still in Mississippi? And said, we can run this business from anywhere, and that's what we really like doing. So we left the university, took a look around the country to decide where we wanted to live. And we went back to Philadelphia, of course, at first, because we were thinking that's, where we'd go back to, because we loved Philly. We lived in the city, and it was great. But somebody said, hey, you should go check out Baltimore. And I came down here. Met a lady by the name of Jane Schaub, and Jane said, no, you really need to be here. And she rolled out the red carpet for us and did a really, really great sales job on us. And we've been ecstatic and happy ever since to move here. And so we moved here about 5 years ago, rebranded our business to call it Early Charm Ventures when we made the move, right? Had a different name before that because it'd be a pretty meaningless name in Mississippi. Been running new startups out of universities ever since. A professor at a university got a phone call from Natick Soldier Systems. Natick develops systems for soldiers to protect them from whatever in the environment. And Natick, the program manager on that end said, I saw this publication you did, Professor. Would this work to make a camouflage face paint that would prevent soldiers from getting burned if an IED goes off? And the professor, being a good professor, says, of course it will. And the DoD program manager says, that's fine, except we only have money for small businesses. We don't have money that we can fund you as a professor. And so the professor sought us out. We had a relationship with her already, and we started a company around it, and we got funded for this camouflage face paint. And we did. We made a camouflage face paint that you can hold a blowtorch to your face and pull away and you won't burn. Here's what normally would happen from somebody looking at it from a business perspective. Normally they would say, camouflage face paint, how much does the military buy every year? And they would discover that the number was $2 million a year. And they'd say, that's a really lousy business. And we would agree with them. That's a really lousy business. We didn't look at it that way. We said, the DoD is going to pay us to develop this product. And what we know is as we develop that product, we're going to discover something else. Whether it's another needed Natick Soldier Systems that needs to be addressed, or whether it's something in the product itself that becomes interesting. And what happened as we were doing the development is we had to go from an oil-based to a water base on this paint to make sure that it flashed off water instead of burning like oil. Insect repellents that have to be in there are not soluble in water. So we had to come up with a way to disperse that insect repellent. And when we did, it was a formulation that, as it turns out, we can use on nylon cotton uniforms. We can coat the nylon cotton uniform with it and get 100 wash cycles without losing activity of an insect repellent. So we went from a little $2 million market to a hundreds of $1 million market. At the same time that we were figuring all of that out, Natick came back to us and said, hey, will the ink system you're using in that face paint work on military uniforms? Because they print the military uniform. We said, of course it will. They funded us to develop a camouflage ink system that will stop a nylon cotton uniform from burning. And sure enough, we stopped the nylon cotton uniform from burning. So we went from what was really kind of a lousy product to two really great product lines. All because we don't have a philosophy of using the market to determine whether or not we start a company, but we also aren't married to a technology when we start a company. And that's really our philosophy, is that you iterate between the two. If you have really great people and you just stay open to where the opportunities are, you'll find them. That's what we do.